All right, for this example, we're asked to express the partial derivative of w with respect to r and with respect to s in terms of r and s. If w is equal to x plus 2y plus z squared, x is equal to r over s, y is equal to r squared plus the natural log of s, and z is equal to 2r. So r and s are the independent variables. X, y, and z are intermediate variables, and w is going to be the dependent variable. And the equation for the partial derivative of w with respect to r is going to be the partial derivative of w with respect to x times the partial derivative of x with respect to r plus the partial derivative of w with respect to y times the partial derivative of y with respect to r plus the partial derivative of w with respect to z times the partial derivative of z with respect to r. All right, so now we just need to find all of those partial derivatives and put them together using this chain rule. All right, so the partial derivative of w with respect to x, that's just going to be 1 because remember we're holding y and z constant. The derivative of x is going to be 1 and the derivative of a constant is just going to be 0. The derivative of x with respect to r, well, that's just going to be 1 over s. The derivative of w with respect to y, that's going to be 2. The derivative of y with respect to r, that's going to be 2r. S is going to be constant, so the natural log of s is constant. And the derivative with respect to r is just going to be 0, so that's 2r. And then the derivative of w with respect to z is going to be 2z. And then the derivative of z with respect to r is going to be 2. All right, now let's simplify this. This is going to be 1 over s plus 2 times 2r is 4r plus 4z. Now, we want this in terms of r and s. We don't want one of our intermediate variables in our final answer. So we've got to go back up here and replace that z with 2r. So if we plug in 2r for that z, now we've got 1s plus 4r plus 8r. So this is 1 over s plus 12r. And that's going to be our answer for the partial derivative with respect to r. Now we need to go back and do the partial derivative with respect to s. So that's going to be the same equation here on our chain rule, except the independent variable we're looking for is s. So the partial derivative of w with respect to s is going to be equal to the partial derivative with respect to x is going to be 1 again. The partial derivative of x with respect to s, this is r times s to the negative 1, so this is going to be negative r over s squared. The partial derivative of w with respect to y, that's going to be 2 again. And the partial derivative of y with respect to s, this is going to be held constant. And so the derivative of that with respect to s is 0. The derivative of the natural log of s with respect to s is 1 over s. And then the partial derivative of w with respect to s, or with respect to z is going to be 2z again. And the partial derivative of z with respect to s, this is just a constant, so that's going to be 0. All right, so this is negative r over s squared plus 2 over s. And that's it. That's our answer. Everything is in terms of r and s. So we're done there.